Today, President Trump marks 100 days in office with the promise no one is above the law, especially those supposed to be upholding the law.
A new executive order targeting sanctuary cities signed yesterday, just days after a Wisconsin judge was arrested, accused of helping an illegal evade ICE.
Here to react, the 5 co-host Judge Jeanine Pirro. Welcome to the judge.
All right, Judge.
Hello, everybody. Hello. I'm thrilled to be here.
Judge, we just got to get to, because you're a former judge. I used to work for a judge, 2 judges actually. The thought of another judge letting a criminal out of the back door, or any officer of the court, was just appalling to me. Can she be really prosecuted for this?
It's not only appalling, it's illegal. Let me make this very clear. These judges, just because you put a robe on doesn't mean that you are protected and somehow are not responsible for violating the law. It's called obstruction of justice. It's called interfering with an arrest. And what this judge did was unbelievable. There was a domestic violence case in her courtroom. 2 women were in court ready to testify with the prosecutor. What the judge does, she hears ICE is in the courthouse. She gets furious. She goes out and confronts them. She wants to protect the illegal who's charged with battering and who knows what else. And she then says, let me tell you guys, you go see the chief administrative judge that way. And as she directs him that way, she takes the criminal out the back door. It's not a public way of leaving or entering the courthouse. So she is obstructing, and she is creating a danger for the public. How? Because law enforcement then has to make an arrest in the public area and putting citizens at risk in addition to the cops. This judge should not only be prosecuted, she should lose her robe. She knows better than anyone what the law is. And for her to think she has the right to let a criminal go free, and what I want to know is, what other illegals have you let go free?
Yep.
This is a domestic violence case. I want to know, what is your record? What have you done to prosecutors who come into your courtroom and try to prosecute real cases?
Judge,
enough with this judge.
What do you say to people who say, like other channels, David Brooks says she's heroic, acted heroic by doing the right thing?
Well, these people are clueless. If the first 100 days of Donald Trump tells us anything, it's that the American people voted him in to do exactly what he's doing, and it's promises made and promises kept in 100 days. And by the way, it's like we have 2 press conferences a day. I mean, Joe Biden, he called a lid before he got out of bed. Who even knew the man was the president?
But you're not even exaggerating. Today he's going to have another cabinet meeting on camera.
Yeah.
On
So
camera.
it's going to be a lot of
And Caroline is going to have a press conference at 8:30 with Bassett. And then tonight he's doing a rally to celebrate the 100 days in Michigan at 6 o'clock.
There's no question. The man has more energy than anyone I know, any of us. He goes 24/7. He is committed. He's a fighter. He's learned that you cannot buckle at all, whether it's DEI, whether it's men and women's sports, whether it's deporting illegal aliens. And these other judges, these federal judges who somehow think that because they're a federal judge, they have the right to stop the president of the United States and foreign policy decisions, foreign terrorist organizations sending out these criminals under the Alien Enemies Act. They can't stop that. The Supreme Court had to intervene and say, you don't do that. You're a local judge in Maryland. I don't care if you're federal. You do not dictate presidential policy.
Real quick, later today, he's going to sign an executive order, law and order, cracking down on sanctuary cities.
About time. And he's called the Secretary of Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, and Pam Bondi, and he said, I want to know these cities that are protecting the criminals, putting American citizens at risk, and making it so that law enforcement is in trouble just trying to arrest them. By the way, if you want to protect criminals, protect an American criminal.
Right.
I mean, what are we doing here?
Right. Hey, how great is the judge?
American.
See that,
She had her coffee this morning.
While the judge was talking, I took a shower. I went up to my office. I came back down. She needs her own show. It's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, I have my own show.
I know. The 5.
And by
In
the
the
way,
morning.
everybody, this is a studio that they do the 5 in. They sit right there at that big table.
Every day.
Every day.
And we'll
So
see you
tune in
today.
at 5.
Hey, Judge, you want to toss to Carly for us?
Carly has something to add.
I do have something to add,
Let's
Judge.
hope.
You are the best. Give it another round of applause.
Oh, stop.
We deserve that.
the Trump administration's border policy since day one.
We are a sanctuary and welcoming state. That has not changed because of who won the election.
Donald Trump and his administration, Tom Homan, people at the Department of Homeland Security, they're the ones that are threatening people.
I still remain opposed to efforts to target large swaths of a documented population. He'd done nothing wrong other than they're here.
They're here, but it's hard to argue with the new numbers. According to CBP, only 9 illegal migrants, 9 were released into the United States during President Trump's first 70 days.
Compare that, look at that other number, to nearly 5,000 that were released in one day in December 2023 under Joe Biden.
I mean, it's truly incredible. Border czar Tom Homan joins us right now. A round of applause for Tom Homan. Tom, it was a promise made, a promise kept. I mean, the proof is in the pudding when it comes to the numbers. I know there was a lot of people that tried to say that President Biden was actually deporting more people. Yesterday, you broke it down. That's not true.
No, it's not true. ICE arrests in the interior about 3 times higher than Biden administration was. But they were counting border removals with ICE removals. And of course they had a lot of border removals. They had 10.5 million people come to the border. And I looked at the numbers the other day. Under the Biden administration, we averaged about 10, 11,000 a day at the high points. Some days at 15,000. You know what the number was yesterday? 178. Wow. 178 across 2,000 miles of border. And you're right, since January, the Trump administration has released 9 people. 4 were material witnesses in a criminal investigation. We brought them in to testify in a court hearing on a cartel hearing. 4 were in extreme medical distress, so we had to move them to emergency medical facilities. 1 was a humanitarian. In that same time frame that we released 9, they released 184,000 illegal aliens in the country. Wow. So President Trump, he's a game changer. What's happening on the border? He did in 7 weeks what Joe Biden couldn't or wouldn't do in 4 years.
What about the terrorist watch list? We know under Joe Biden, hundreds of them were coming across our border. They were on the terror watch list. Do we know who they are? Are they still here in our country? And what kind of a threat could we expect?
Yes, there's many in the country, and we're working with the intelligence community and FBI to try to find them. Remember, we had over 2 million known gotaways under Joe Biden. 2 million people paid more to get away. You pay the cartels a lesser amount of money just to get to the border. The cartel's job ends at the border, right? You see a green uniform and turn yourself in. You get released in 24 hours. You get a free airline ticket to the city of your choice. You get a free hotel room. You get 3 meals a day. You get free medical care. And you get work authorization after about 90 days, exactly the reason they came. Why did 2 million people pay more not to get all that getaway, right? Because they didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. And that scares the hell out of me, scared the hell out of everybody. How many of them came from a country sponsoring terror? We arrested 400. Obviously, they were morons because terrorists, they get trained how to evade law enforcement. How many at 2 million were carrying fentanyl or sex trafficking women and children or from a terrorist-related country? What Joe Biden did was the biggest national security vulnerability this nation's ever seen.
Tom, it was just a week or 2 ago that Kristi Noem, our Secretary of Homeland Security, was in a restaurant in Washington, D.C. She was at a hamburger place with her family. Somebody stole her purse. As it turns out, the guy who stole her purse in the country illegally, he had been arrested essentially doing the same thing here in New York City a couple weeks earlier. But, you know, it's a revolving door. They arrest him, and then they let him loose because we're a sanctuary city, New York City. Has that started to change since you've been working with Mayor Adams? Yeah, Mayor Adams, I was up here last week, and we announced the indictment of 27 TDA members here through a task force operation with NYPD and ICE. So we proved what good collaboration can do. And at the same day, I'm standing on stage with Mayor Adams talking about the great success of ICE working with NYPD to make New York City much safer. The city council sues to keep me on Rikers Island. Right. And we just proved to the city how much safer the city is now. You got 27 TDA members off the street that were involved with gun trafficking, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, murder for hire. There's a RICO investigation. So
You know, they sued to keep out of Rikers Island, but I think we're going to win. I think we'll be in Rikers Island. Mayor Adams has proven he wants to be a law and order mayor. And as far as this making a trade for getting out of his criminal investigation, me and Mayor Adams were talking since November, way before this other investigation was talked about. It's just garbage. But I think he came to the table. We're doing great things in New York. I don't think Chicago is going to come to the table. Chicago told me I wasn't welcome to Chicago. Guess the first place I went to after President Trump came.
Real quick, do you believe that Venezuela sent TDA here to wreak havoc?
Yes.
Or they should think to just getting rid of them? Do you think this is a tactic?
No, it's a predatory incursion. They came to the United States. We know they're embedded through numerous investigations. They're embedded with the Maduro regime. They came here to unsettle this country, whether it's through the fentanyl that kills thousands of kids, sex trafficking, or violence in the city. I mean, the FBI just did a report saying that TDA members are here to assassinate people in Florida. I mean, it was a predatory incursion. And people say, well, we're not at war. You can't use the AEA. Well, read the act, because you can also do it during predatory incursion, and we've clearly shown that occurred.
Well, Tom, we'll see you in 200 days. Hopefully in between that, too. Congratulations on the first 100.
There's a lot of love in this room for you, Mr. Holman.
President Trump promising to make America healthy again even before his first day in office.
Millions and millions of Americans who want clean air, clean water, and a healthy nation have concerns about toxins in our environment and pesticides in our food. We want every child in America to grow up and to live a long and healthy life.
Meanwhile, after 100 days, after President Trump returned to office, several states looking to advance the MAHA agenda, with more than 24 states working to ban food dyes. Fox News contributor Dr. Nicole Saphier joins us now. Dr. Sapphire, great to see you.
Morning, Brian.
One of these very popular things the president's done is hired RFK, maybe the second most popular politician in the country, to change what we eat and look at chronic diseases. How do you feel about the progress he's making so far?
You know, first of all, I don't look at RFK Jr. as a politician. I look at him as, I mean, he is here. This is just not a moment of time. This is a movement. And the whole Make America Healthy Again is really a movement, something that we haven't seen in the United States. And it is really just about time that we take seriously the health of our nation. RFK Jr. and his team, they are already, breaking the industry in the sense that he's making us question a lot of things. And that's what's really important. Having the questions about what we're adding to our foods and the things that we're giving to our children, fluorides in our drinking water, talking about some of the medications and the vaccines and looking at the safety, all of this. Asking these questions and being a disruptor is absolutely essential to getting us to a healthy place again, especially when you look across the world and Europe and other places don't allow a lot of the things that we here in the United States do allow. So the fact that that's the case and that we have one of the unhealthiest populations across the world, I think it's great we're asking these questions.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people think they're eating healthy. There's one, if you eat bad, you know when you're eating junk food. A lot of people think they're eating healthy. I had no idea about some of the things been brought up by you, Casey and Callie Means, and RFK. The other thing the president wanted RFK to tackle is chronic diseases. First and foremost, autism, and that's where he's starting. In fact, here's the headline of the Wall Street Journal. The madness in RFK Jr.'s autism method, because he's guaranteeing, by the way, that we'll have an answer to why we have the rise in autism by September, is that its department, and it's an epidemic. It said autism is increasing among kids between 1 and 31. There's now 1 in 31. In 2022, it was 1 in 54. In 2016, it was 1 in 150. So why is there more autistic kids in our country?
Well, to discussing the rise in incidence and prevalence of autism spectrum disorders in the United States and internationally, it's very complex. It's not just, there's not one reason. It's not black and white. Yes, it has to do with an expanded diagnosis. We have bigger, wider diagnostic criteria. We also have more people seeking help, being diagnosed with it. But we also even with that aside, it does seem that there is still a rise in it. And why is that? We're not going to have a single answer to it. I guarantee you.
Even in September?
Even in September. Gosh, I wish he didn't give that timeline. I hate putting those kind of restrictions on things, especially when it comes to science. We need to make sure people are still asking questions, but there's not going to be a black and white answer. But it is a confluence of environmental toxins that's all around us, as well as some of our genetics.
I love that he's tackling this. And let's go to the audience now. Bob, you have a question for the doctor.
Hi, doctor.
Hey, Bob.
Actually, you just answered my question. I'm a father of an autistic son. I have two sons born a year apart in 1999 and the year 2000. They both received the MMR vaccine within a year of each other from the same pediatrician. And my question to you is, what do you feel about RFK's thoughts on saying that he's going to say, I know what the causes are for autism by September? So you answered the question basically for me already.
It's a very complicated topic. Obviously, RFK Jr. has been speaking on the MMR vaccine specifically and autism spectrum disorder. He's been talking about it for a decade. And so it's prudent for the people who support him that he does do what he's promised and to look into this. My opinion, looking at the overwhelming data, and not just the United States data, because let me tell you, when it comes to the United States, we are not good at picking up safety signals when we're seeing something wrong with our medications, with our vaccines. Look what happened in COVID. We had to rely on the UK. They picked up the safety signal for the blood clots in the brain. Israel picked up the safety signals for myocarditis, mRNA. We completely failed. So I'm not just looking at what's happening here in the United States. I want to look at everywhere else. And overwhelmingly, huge studies, Denmark, Finland, UK, and the United States show that autism rates do not seem to be linked to the MMR vaccine. Now, I want them to continue to look for it and maybe develop some more studies to look at it. But where we stand right now, that's kind of what the data shows. But it doesn't mean that there aren't toxins. It doesn't mean that there aren't side effects from these vaccines. And those all need to maintain that we continue studying them, looking at the safety and efficacy of what we're giving to our children.
Yeah, but I would say this. I love the focus. I love that he's going to have a series of studies. The more focus, the more great minds, maybe we'll get some great answers. Thanks so much, Dr. Sapphire. I appreciate it. All right, great question, sir. Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.